or ceramic tile, their expert team makes installing new floors exciting, not stressful. That's why customers keep coming back. Visit Michael's Flooring at St. Peter's, Starting Prairie, Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Whether you need an LS conversion, a suspension lift, major repairs, or just routine maintenance, there's one name you can trust under the hood: Hardin's Complete Auto. Julius Hardin and his ASE certified team handle it all, from everyday service to specialty builds, with the skill and experience your vehicle deserves. Don't take chances with your automobile. Leave it to the professionals. Call Julius directly at 314-267-5099. That's 314-267-5099.
Missouri's laws are clear. Unregulated gaming devices are illegal. Companies have been telling businesses that gray market machines are legal. That's wrong. Don't be scammed. If you have these devices at your business, you could be subject to criminal and civil penalties. Unplug and remove these devices today.
If you've been approached to host illegal gaming machines, call now 800-523-1434 or visit ago.mo.gov. Sponsored by the Attorney General's Office.
Dreaming about a vacation but not sure where to start? Should you book that all-inclusive resort or a cruise? Which destination? What cruise line? And how do you know you're getting the best value? That's where Magic Expeditions comes in. We're your St. Louis local travel experts, helping you choose the vacation that fits. Whether a relaxing, adults-only escape, family-friendly resort, or unforgettable cruise adventure, skip the stress, the guessing, and endless online searching. Visit magicexpeditions.com. That's magicexpeditions.com.
News Talk STL. This hour of the Allman Report brought to you by STL Fenceworks, celebrating 50 years of industry-leading service for fence, deck, and leisure space solutions. Visit stlfenceworks.com.
Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Thursday to all of you and yours. It is, yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here, pleased and privileged to be with you. Ashlyn is over there, and it is another beautiful day. It's a little hectic out there on the roads, however. 270 going north around 40. It's a basket case, so just so you guys know, if you're getting off 40 onto 270 north, you're going to be there a long time. Just letting you know. I was kind of wondering, have you ever been, and Ashlyn, you might have been, because we always have these white knuckle drives into the studio for some reason. I don't leave early or anything. Just, don't make it easier on yourself by leaving early. Just keep on with your white knuckling to work. But anyway, so you ever pass by somebody or they're going slow or whatever. It always just surprises me. Sometimes I see people behind the wheel of a car and it's as if they're surprised to be driving. Like they're like, I can't believe I'm driving this car. I'm like, I know. It's like kind of crazy. It's like they're like mystified and dumbfounded how they wound up in the driver's seat of an automobile. It's like, where am I going? What is this? Where is this taking me? It's like, it's just the craziest thing. I'm thinking, golly. Like, it's just is nuts. People are funny people. All right, I'm going to start. And by the way, we have some movement now with the Ferguson data center and some other data centers. So we're going to get an update on what exactly is going on with all of this from Elizabeth Kayser in just a little bit. She, of course, is host of Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kayser on News Talk STL. And, of course, that is 8 o'clock on Sunday. She's going to be with us. Also, CNN is caught trying to cover for a congressman who, even after all of this, still talked about executing Pete Hegseth. CNN, it happened live, and then when CNN replayed the clip, they cut it out. Maybe it was too much for CNN, or maybe they're trying to cover for him or whatever, but we're going to follow up on that as well. And Erica Kirk finally speaks out on this Candace Owens garbage. It's about time. I know that for a while there, I don't think Erica Kirk really just had the energy or the bandwidth to just get loud about what is being said about her and all this other stuff. I think honestly, somebody who is in mourning like that, there's only so much you can do. But I think in the aftermath of the weekend, and the shooting in the aftermath of the weekend, and the rage baiting that's going on, not only among the left, but also people like Candace Owens and others, the Megyn Kellys of the world, and those kinds of people, I think, and this, what happened on Saturday was very, very upsetting to Erica Kirk, and so she is now fighting back. And I think it was just too much over the weekend, and she's like, I'm tired of people making these accusations, for instance, that she had something to do with the murder of Charlie Kirk, all these kinds of things. Enough is enough. And so when it comes to the people who are trying to rage bait and poke the bear and everything else, Erica Kirk has had enough, and so we'll follow up on that. I want to give you some good news as we open up the Allman Report show here. It's coming from CNBC, and you're not likely to see a whole lot of reporting on this, which is odd because even the website where I'm seeing this piece of video is saying, wow, CNBC sure is excited. I'm like, why aren't you, with the numbers that are coming out regarding employment and beyond?
Hey, Rick. Hi, Joe. It's pretty exciting. I think employment cost index, first quarter number, up 0.9, close to expectations. Up 0.9 would equal the second quarter of 25. To find a higher cost index, here the first quarter of 24. Initial jobless claims hitting the wires at 189,000. 189,000.
That is versus the 215,000 that was estimated. So way below the expectations in terms of the unemployment rate.
Wow, that is truly incredible. We're looking at levels truly that we probably haven't seen since the late 60s. This is very, very
It's incredible, right? I mean, we're seeing unemployment numbers and therefore employment numbers at levels that we haven't seen since the 60s. This is Rick Santelli, by the way, who has been around the block for a while. Remember, he was the one who kind of like had enough. He was kind of the instigator of the Tea Party back in the day. So I'm going to let this go here, but what I'm asking, and I want you to ask yourself is, have you heard this, first of all? And it's likely that you haven't heard this. And then you have to ask, why haven't you heard this? Like every time there is a tick up in gas prices or whatever, you hear about it. But have you heard this? And now maybe you have because of the people you listen to or the places you go to get your information. But this isn't being widely reported, and the question is, why? And I think you all know why. When you have unemployment numbers and therefore employment numbers that you haven't seen since the 60s, according to CNBC. That is news. That is news. And yet it's being roundly ignored. I haven't even heard it on Fox News, although I haven't really been paying a whole lot of attention on that. But why isn't this being reported? We know why. Because the news media and others basically just have it out for President Trump, and any good economic news will not be reported. Bad economic news will be flaunted.
Continuing claims, 1,785,000. That would be the least going back to August of the summer of 24, actually April of 24. Now, let's get into it. Let's look at GDP. Our first look, first quarter GDP, up 2%. That's 0.3 light. 2% would be the lightest quarter, well, since last quarter, which was up 0.5. Now, if we look at the personal consumption number, 1.6, that's better than expected. That would be the best consumption, well, just since the last quarter when it was up 1.9. But do remember, we were looking for a number slightly below 1.5%.
So this is great, too. The consumption index is important because what we're hearing from the mainstream media and everybody else is that prices are too high, affordability, right? But apparently, according to the consumption numbers, people, for the most part, are not having a whole lot of problems with affordability. Yeah, do we complain about the price of meat? Yeah, or the price of gasoline, whatever. But the consumption index is hugely important, especially since it has maintained its level, as Rick Santelli is pointing out, especially as it has maintained its level in spite of the doom and gloom and bleakness of all of the reports out there. So that consumption index is important, but, you know, for the rest of the news media, who's counting, right?
And if we look at the price index, less than expected, 3.6. We're looking for 3.9. It's sequentially lower than our last look at 3.7. And if we look at the core on a quarter-over-quarter basis, couple tenths hotter, expecting 4.1. We end up with 4.3. That's significantly higher than 2.7. 4.3 would be the warmest since the first quarter of 23 when it was 4.7. Now, let's get into the personal income and spending numbers. Income up 0.6, double expectations.
Do you hear that? The incomes of Americans are up 0.6%, which is doubling expectations. So, again, the doom and gloomers, and I'm not quite sure exactly what the expectations are always based on. I don't know whether or not it's because people are out to kind of destroy any semblance of Trump approval or what have you. But the reality is, between the consumer spending, the consumption index, and the income index, people are doing really super well in this country right now, for the most part. And so the fact that and I can't figure out, and I don't think Santelli really explains it, but I can't figure out why it's double expectations. Like, what happened? And I've got to tell you that the forecasters, seemingly, according to these numbers that Santelli is giving us, especially when it comes to the GDP numbers, as well as the unemployment numbers, as well as the income numbers, it's really pretty amazing that for the most part, they're double the estimate. Or double under the estimate, whatever you want to call it. So who's making these estimations? And they've got to understand that some of these estimations, when they do make them, cause ticks in the market that make the market go down, and it tends to suffocate consumer confidence and everything else. So maybe the problem in the end are the people who are making the estimations, because they're way, way off. And you couldn't keep your job as a meteorologist under these kinds of circumstances, for crying out loud.
And that would be the best level since the summer of 25, July to be specific. If we look at the spending side, equal to expectations, up 9/10. Pretty robust. Last month, a little bit more robust, from up 0.5% to up 0.6. How does up 9/10 compare? Well, you'd have to go to the last quarter of 24 when it was up 1%.
So, again, to recap, personal income now is double what it was estimated to be at this particular juncture. Unemployment is 50% lower than the estimation that it would be at this particular time. Consumption is up at a greater rate than was predicted. The economy is humming along, and somebody out there in the background has been making these estimates, and I think creating an illusion of a poor economy. And then when their numbers all are blown out of the water by CNBC, nobody's reporting on them. I guarantee you, when the estimates first came out, I guarantee you those were reported. Forecasters, I bet you the Wall Street Journal was all over that. Phil Valencia says if you go to Fox's X account, there's nothing about this. This is the first I'm hearing about it. And I'm fairly, I make a pretty hardcore sweep of the news between the time I leave here and the time I get here the next day. I'm pretty plugged in. And this is the first I'm seeing about it, and it's on CNBC.
And we are a consumption economy. That is pretty good news. Now, let's adjust it for inflation.
And he says we're a consumption economy. So anybody who's telling you we've got a problem with affordability in this country is absolutely just lying to you. And that's why a long time ago I said, I don't even want to use the word affordability. I don't want to hear President Trump talk about affordability because it's a word that the left invented. I'm not saying they invented the word, but you know what I mean. They decided they were going to create this problem and then just say, we're lacking affordability, we're lacking affordability, we're lacking affordability. And all President Trump is having to do is going, well, no, we're not, no, we're not, no, we're not. And then, then the numbers come out. And the people who are complaining about this affordability crisis have been lying to us the whole time. We're a heavily consumptive economy right now, and that's not a reflection of poor affordability.
Spending up 0.2. That would equal October last year to find a better level. August of last year. On the price index, up 0.7 as expected, but significantly higher than 0.4 in the rearview mirror. Up 0.7. Well, that would be the highest since June of 22 when it was up 1%. PCE, let's look at the...
Again, if you're just tuning in, as I began this, I told you the unemployment numbers in this country are as low as they've been since the 60s. That's huge news.
Year-over-year numbers on PCE, year-over-year would be up 3.5%, and we're looking for a number that was 3.5%, higher than 2.8. That would be the warmest since May of 23. If we look at core on a month-over-month basis,
and keep in mind, and I'm some of this is a little mundane, but I get it. But keep in mind, the estimated jobless claim number was 215,000. When that estimation came out, people were flipping out. The markets were depressed. The Democrats were howling and all this kind of stuff. And the actual numbers that are coming out, it's at 189. That is a significant difference from the estimate. That's a huge difference from the estimate.
Up 0.3 as expected, 1/10 lighter than our last look. And drum roll, please. Core PCE year over year, the last number I have today, up 3.2 as expected, 0.2 hotter than the rearview mirror. Up 3.2 would define a hotter number. You're going back to November of 23. Let the market synthesize all this. Pre-numbers, we were hovering right around 389 in a 2-year. We're now at 390. That's down 5 basis points. We're at 439 on a 10. It's at 440, down 3 basis points with a double intraday top at 443. And of course, the reason it dropped down and the reason there's green in equities is because oil started to dip. Joe and the gang, back to you.
Yeah. So now oil prices are dipping, and of course that's having a significant impact on the markets and everything else. So, hey, listen, I just wanted to tell you the news that you're not hearing. Why not? I mean, I want to at least provide you with some kind of some freshness. You guys tired of the king and the queen yet? I kind of am. They're in Virginia now, and there's a big parade for them and everything else. And then they got to go back to D.C. I'm thinking, I looked at the TV. They're in Virginia now. It's like, you're still here? Like the relatives that won't leave. It's like, gee whiz, dudes. I mean, we appreciated everything, but it's time to go. Bye. Bye. All right. CNN, for whatever reason, decided to edit a Democrat congressman who all but called for the execution of the Secretary of War. So we'll follow up on that. This is Common Sense Radio. It's the 3 Martini Lunch, everybody. The Allman Report on News Talk STL.
This app is absolutely fantastic.
Yes, I listen on my phone.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
It is awesome.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli. We're sitting here with our great friend, Chris Cooper. Hi, Chris.
What's going on, Vic? How are you?
I hear you wrote another book. This one's an e-book. Is that right?
The Business Owner's Playbook for Financial Clarity. So it is a great book for entrepreneurs. It's a very short guide. Give people, business owners, the ability to understand key questions that are important, such as succession planning, legacy planning, getting the IRS out of our pockets, right? Because do you like paying taxes?
I do not.
I don't think anybody likes paying taxes, right? That just makes sense. And then always talking about protection. And then the other thing from a business owner perspective, what is the biggest asset a business owner has? Probably their business itself, right? We need to make sure we understand what the value of that business is as well.
So this new book, I'm sure, is incredibly expensive, right? How much?
No, it's a free resource.
Oh, it's free.
We provide guidance, we provide education because we want to make sure people feel educated and understanding because sometimes you don't know what questions to ask, and we need to make sure we help arm people with information to ask the right question.
Reach out to Chris and Stacy today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
Do you know why I endorse Cafe Napoli, all the locations? Visit any of them, and you will quickly appreciate the quality of food, service, atmosphere. So maybe I'll see you at Cafe Napoli in Clayton, Napoli Kirkwood, Napoli 2 in Town and Country, Napoli 3 in St. Charles, right next door to Napoli C. Or maybe you'll find me at Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in the Chesterfield Valley. Now you know why I endorse Napoli, NapoliSTL.com.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
The United Nations, created in June 1945, hopefully to prevent another world war. In the beginning years, the primary mandate was peacekeeping. World War II was over, but the Cold War started between the U.S. and Soviet Union. Still, the UN was considered valuable, at least in theory. There are 193 member states. The U.S. contributes most of the money for the UN, more than 30% of the budget. So our nation hosts and carries the heaviest load. But what just happened is a slap in the face of our nation. The UN just appointed Iran as a vice president of nuclear non-proliferation. Iran is under a U.S. blockade because it will not cease trying to have nukes. So much for non-proliferation. Iran was nominated to this position by 120 developing countries, most of those in Africa and Asia. No surprise there. UK, France, Germany, their reaction, well, they express concern. The United Arab Emirates, Australia, and the U.S. calling it shameful. Shameful. That's diplomatic language for BS.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL. Number one for live and local conservative talk.
I just would like to get your comments on that. I'm so glad that you're on the radio, and I want to thank you for that. I'll tell you why.
101.9 and 94.1.
I love these people.
St. Louis is number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL. The Allman Report, sponsored by Gemini Wealth Group.
Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Thursday to all of you and yours. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL, the 3 Martini Lunch. Yes, indeed. Common Sense Radio. So we're kind of getting into, we are into that near May time, you know, where Natalie is graduating high school and she'll be on her way to Georgetown University next year in Washington, D.C. Really super proud of her for that. And you start to think about, oh, wow, you know, it was only yesterday when she was like a little girl. And I remember I wrote her a poem once on her 11th birthday. But because when she was really super little, whenever I came home, she would know I was coming or whatever. She'd always hide when I came in, and it was kind of like Inspector Clouseau and Cato, you know, kind of like, Cato, where are you? And she was a good hider too. Like, she was a really good hider. Like, sometimes it would take me like 20 minutes to find her. But she would I'd literally hide every time I came home. And then one time, she was basically too big to hide. And so I wrote her a poem on her 11th birthday about that one moment when she realized, because she said, Daddy, I think I'm too big. Because she used to be, you know. And so I remembered that. And then I'm reminded as we fast forward to her being now 18, I was really happy to still have been summoned up at 2 in the morning because Natalie saw a spider on her ceiling that I had to kill for her. So I felt like that's good, you know. Wasn't annoying at all. But I'll tell you, it was a small spider. And I asked her, like, how did you see that? You know, I mean, it was like on the ceiling. I got to get Buckingham Pest Control in because it's just whenever I didn't tell her this. But when you see a small spider, that means there's a bigger spider somewhere else. So, and probably other small spiders around. But I didn't tell her that. But maybe with the continued supply of spiders, she'll still need me. So that'll be good too. So I'll just take advantage. I'll take advantage of that any day, ladies and gentlemen. So anyway, all right. So let's talk about Stephen A. Smith's poll. Boy, things are not really working out really that super well for the Democrats. Whatever they're thinking, people are thinking about President Trump and everything else isn't happening. It's kind of like whatever they're thinking about affordability is not true. It's a falsehood, as I just explained to you, and prices and all that kind of stuff, and unemployment and people's incomes. People's incomes are skyrocketing basically by, you know, you talk about small increments, but that's, for a lot of people, that's a lot of money anyway. So anyway, now we've got the Stephen A. Smith poll, and you guys know how I feel about Stephen A. Smith. I don't really get his brand. I don't really understand what he's doing sometimes. Just one of those things. Okay, Stephen A. Smith, whatever. Okay, I thought he talked about basketball. Nope, I talk about, you know, politics. I'm like, okay, whatever, man. But he did a poll on his website, and it was a poll about violent political rhetoric. And the Stephen A. Smith poll asked this question: whose rhetoric has contributed most to the current climate of political violence in America? And people had four choices: President Trump, the media, Democrats, Republicans. And, of course, you can imagine, see, this is in the world where the flat earther knuckle draggers in the liberal media and beyond live, everybody thinks President Trump is the violent one and that all the violence is coming from the right and blah, 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 blah. But, again, it's absolutely not true when you talk to just real people. And as much as I might kind of be suspicious of Stephen A. Smith on a number of different levels, I looked at this poll and thought, well, I bet you, but his audience, they're not a lot of firebrander political people. He has a real mixed, diverse audience of people because, some of them go to him for the sports world. Others might go to him for some political stuff. But Stephen A. Smith's brand is fairly diverse in terms of who was paying attention to him. So the polling went like this: President Trump, 20.6%. The media, 35.5%. I'm so glad he included the media in this. Often there are people who are not including the media in this equation. They act as if the media is just kind of standing by and covering it, but they're not, and we know that. For the most part, 80% of the news media probably is mostly just a bunch of propagandists and people who are stoking division and who are stoking hate and are encouraging it, and a lot of it's because they are liberal. They're not stoking hate against liberals. They're stoking hate against you and me. 35.5% of the people polled say the media, and then Democrats, 44.7%. Republicans, 1.2%. So Republicans aren't even a factor in all of this. But Democrats, 44.7%. So in the Stephen A. Smith poll, and again, I think it matters, it's consequential that this isn't like a Breitbart poll or something where you get some fairly uneven numbers in favor of conservatives. This is a Stephen A. Smith poll, and I have to say there are probably a lot of independents who are hovering around Stephen A. Smith's orbit. So this poll is significant, and Democrats are being blamed twice as much as President Trump is. So once again, this Keebler Elves land viewpoint that all of these left-wingers in the media have is absolutely not in any way, shape, or form correct or bearing itself out. Let's move on to MS Now, and they decided to talk to young Wisconsin voters to describe the Democrat Party in one word.
How would you guys describe the Democratic Party right now?
Lost.
Incorrect.
Trying.
Confused.
I'll say struggling.
I would also say struggling.
Yeah.
How would you?
And of course, it's every flavor of ethnicity in this grouping. And these are young Wisconsin voters. So Wisconsin also is a fairly, I wouldn't say independent all the time, but sometimes it skews pretty liberal. But these are young Wisconsin voters. This can't be. Now we know why the Democrat Party is stoking the kinds of violence that it is. Now we know why they're doing all of this. And they're doing all this because of the numbers I just told you about in the beginning of the show. They're doing all this because they know that actually they're to blame for violent rhetoric and indeed violence in this country. And even when it comes to the meat and potatoes element of their party, even young voters are like, you guys are lost. You have nothing. So what do they resort to? Well, they resort to Congress people like Seth Moulton, who is really a dark human being. And I'm going to tell you that there's this big interview they did with him about his confrontation with Pete Hegseth in this hearing. And you'll notice that when they did this interview, and then when they replayed it, they cut off a certain part of his interview.
And on top of that, we then have the strike where they came back and hit it again, a double tap, just purely to kill these survivors who were clinging to wreckage. You know, it's interesting, Aaron, another historical analogy. Back in World War II, the Allies tried Nazi submarine captains for doing this exact same thing. And guess what the conclusion was? They got executed. Listen to that, Mr. Secretary.
Yeah. So that was part of the main interview that they did, which was live. Aaron Burnett did the interview. And then when they replayed it, they cut this portion out. It was 26 seconds. They cut it out. They actually cut out just the last part. So I'll
and
take
on
it.
top of that, we then have the strike where they came back and hit it again, a double tap, just purely to kill these survivors who were clinging to wreckage.
And then that interview included that and then cut this
You know,
part
it's
off.
interesting, Aaron, another historical analogy. Back in World War II, the Allies tried Nazi submarine captains for doing this exact same thing. And guess what the conclusion was? They got executed.
So
listen to that, Mr. Secretary.
So either CNN is covering for Seth Moulton and the Democrat Party and their usual violent rhetoric, or it was even too much for CNN. So I don't know what conclusion to make about that. I don't really necessarily I don't want to necessarily be charitable to CNN because I think I know better. And I really think what this is you've got two entities that, according to Stephen A. Smith's poll, are being blamed for the violent rhetoric. You have the Aaron Burnetts and CNNs of the world, and you have the Seth Moultons of the world. And when both of these ne'er-do-wells get together, they can't help but vomit up terrible things, and so they have to help each other out of that conundrum. And I think that's why CNN decided that they were going to cut this out at the tail end, not because, oh, wow, that was bad, but because we don't want it to reflect on us. We don't want to remind people what terrible people we are. And by the way, just for good measure, Aaron Burnett never got back in Seth Moulton's face after he said that. She just kind of looked down at her paper, and that was it. She never challenged him at all on that. So there you go. Honor among thieves is what that's all about, right? All right, we're going to get an update on what is happening on the data center front. Elizabeth Kayser from Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kayser is going to be on. This one in Ferguson is starting to move a little bit, but there's a problem that people are noticing, and we'll follow up on that too. This is Common Sense Radio. Happy Thursday. And by the way, a liberal town in Michigan has decided that the Neighborhood Watch program is racist. Pretty crazy. We'll follow up on that, too. This is the 3 Martini Lunch. It's Common Sense Radio.
Hey, thank you very much for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Yes, I just want you to know what a breath of fresh air you people are.
1019 and 941 News Talk STL.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, the Window World window. I will tell you that, first of all, I want you to know that Window World, there's some of these companies, they're not even they're not even in St. Louis. And so you see some of these 800 number companies, these window companies, and they're not even here. Window World, there are 25 people here who are running the Window World operation. Their warehouse is right there in Earth City. They're hometown people, and they absolutely know exactly what's important to you, and that is superior quality, thermal superiority, and, of course, they have the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. And let me tell you something, that's really pretty cool because the Good Housekeeping people are still, for as long as they've been, they're pretty persnickety, and you got to be good in order to make sure that you get their seal of approval, and indeed Window World does have that. Qualified Remodeler Magazine is also heavily favoring Window World. They say, man, they're the number one seller among all of these remodelers, and I know that for a fact because, as you know, I am involved in real estate, and I do show a lot of remodeled homes. And every time I go to the remodeled home, I see the Window World window in it because they, first of all, look great. They're priced just right. They're super quality windows, and they'll help sell a home. That's pretty cool, too. For you, on your person, they're also going to be helping you save on your cooling bills, and then winter comes around on your heating bills as well. Window World loves its windows just as much as I do. Window World backs their windows with a lifetime warranty. Parts, labor, breakage, you name it. Window World backs their windows with a lifetime warranty that you're going to love. Also, same as cash financing with the Window World windows as well. So check it out. 1-800-GET-WINDOWS. 1-800-GET-WINDOWS. Proud supporters of free, common-sense, conservative radio.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros and Exteriors, your all-in-one service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. Christine and I discovered Gutter Pros and Exteriors when we bought our home and inherited a gutter problem. And they've also repaired siding damage on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros team are also the best for repairing other exterior damage, including fascia, soffit, and all siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros and Exteriors can help your home or business right now at gutterpros.com.
Dozens of out-of-state law firms are crashing into St. Louis trying to get your business. My advice, rely on a hometown firm. Under Law has been here for years. There are lawyers raising their families right alongside yours. And when you're injured by someone's careless actions, you are entitled to full compensation. You want lawyers who will not bend to big insurance, but will stand defiantly protecting you. Under Law, O-N-D-E-R, underlaw.com. Under wins.
Colombo and Company.
The vice president responds to reports that we're running out of missiles. Jimmy Kimmel and James Comey are still idiots, and there's only 2 weeks left in the Missouri legislative session. We'll get to it all and more Thursday.
Live and local, weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL. The Allman Report, sponsored by Clayton Sleep Institute.
In America.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Yeah. Yes, it is. It's the 3 Martini Lunch. Jamie Allman here and Ashlyn over there. Yes. You know, I don't know what happened to Jasmine Crockett, but she seems to have a relatively a self-esteem problem. And I'm wondering because, I mean, listen to this. She seems to really be kind of down on herself a little bit.
I'm a black woman in America. So, I mean, some people are just like, oh, but you're a congresswoman. I'm a black woman first. And so, the level of disrespect that is continuously lobbed against us as black women, for me, I'm like, wait a minute now. I am one of the 535 most powerful people in this country.
Golly. Damn, girl. I mean, seriously, you've got like a way bigger ego than is really necessary. And I think she's meaning that the members of Congress are the most powerful people in this country. At 5:35, she's in the, and she's on her way out, obviously. But I think she's thinking that, I don't know where people in Congress get that idea that, but she does seemingly think that members of Congress are the most powerful people in the country, and they're really not. And I'm not even quite sure I could really ascertain or say who are the most powerful people in the country. I think that it's interesting you choose the word powerful as opposed to influential, because I think that we all could have a list of people who are influential in our lives, and they're not always people here on earth. God would be one of those, right? But it's interesting she chooses the word powerful. And I just like I say whenever, you hear these whiny black dudes on TV, like, I'm a black man in America. It's like, shut up. You sound so pussified. And I can't imagine any woman being attracted to a guy who refers to himself that way. Like, I'm a white man in America. It's like, you got to be kidding me. I'm a black man in America. It's like, oh, shut. And similarly, Jasmine Crockett is like, I'm a black woman in America. It's like, well, so? I mean, like, really, honestly. What is, I mean, I think she's insinuating that built into all that is some kind of disrespect, but I don't think so. You know what I'm saying? Oh,
I mean, some people are just like, oh, but you're a congresswoman. I'm a black woman first. And so, the level of disrespect that is continuously lobbed against us as black women, for me, I'm like, wait a minute now. I am one of the 535 most powerful people in this country, and for some reason you think we on the same level, but you're gonna disrespect me? Like, it's not gonna happen. Like, I'm not gonna.
You're sick, Lordy. I'm looking at Jasmine Crockett, and I'm thinking, aren't you the one who I saw shoving the all-you-can-eat shrimp in your purse before you left that Sunday? I don't know why. It's just is crazy.
Not gonna happen. So.
Yeah, and I don't even know what show this is. It's like, what show is this? It's called Sherry. Do you know about that show, Ash and Sherry? Okay, nobody ever does. It's like, where is this show? Like, what where's the show Sherry on? It's crazy. Hey, Rob Very, nice to see you again, my friend. Yeah. Amy says, don't forget the sassy and the snap. I'm surprised. Like, I think I have perfected the neck roll, considering I went to a school that was 80% black and had a lot of black friends and black women friends, too. In fact, I ran for class president with a black chick named Phyllis. We lost to a white man in an 80% black, so it must have been me. But anyway, I must have been dragging the ticket down a little bit. But nonetheless, Phyllis. And so I kind of perfected the neck roll. I don't know whether you guys know about that, but you do, because it's whatever she's saying comes with a neck roll, and you can imagine what that is. Rob Very, the Allman neck roll. That's right. Yeah, that's right. I'm a black woman in America. And so you guys, I like what Rob said about the most powerful people in this country. Rob pointed out something really super important again to the discussion because we don't know what powerful is. We know what influential is, but we also realize that these members of Congress, as Rob points out, and I'll quote him on this, are paid to serve us, not rule us. So you don't want to be a person who is a member of Congress who has decided that you are going to call yourself powerful because most normal, average, everyday Americans don't speak in that language, don't refer to people who have influence on them as being powerful. I never even use the word. You know what I mean? I don't. Do you guys ever talk about powerful people? And because we don't really know what that is. All right. Meanwhile, I want to get into this really quick. I think I have time. Erica Kirk is very, very upset and finally talking really bluntly to and about Candace Owens. And I do believe that this is an offshoot of what happened on Saturday. Erica Kirk was there, and she was obviously very, very upset. And as you can imagine that she was. If you can imagine, I like yesterday I talked about President Trump sitting there with the Artemis II astronauts and everything. I'm like, I can't believe like 4 days ago he was on the verge of being shot again. And look at him. He's just kind of calm as a cucumber. It's just like that picture of him with the bee on his palm. It's like, I dare you to sting me, you know? But it still is exceedingly stressful. If you can imagine in your life almost being killed 3 times by somebody who's out to try to kill you. Like, that doesn't really happen that often. And certainly not having your spouse shot to death on camera. That doesn't happen either. So if you can imagine the kind of stress and trauma that someone like Erica Kirk is going through, and especially that night, again, there's another Democrat shooting at people, wanting to kill people, and everything else. And at some point, your cup runneth over. So I believe that this is finally Erica Kirk having enough. Because to me, not only are some of the Democrats and the news media and others fomenting violence against conservatives and everybody else, there are people like Candace Owens who are also adding to it. There are people like some of these other commentators who are also adding to it. The people like, for instance, at the Bulwark, or the people who are with the Lincoln Project, these so-called former conservatives or whatever, the Candace Owens of the world. To some degree, Tucker Carlson, although he is not as much of a fire breather as some of the other people are. But whether they're intending it or not, their language is putting a target on the backs of people. If you can imagine, when you claim that Erica Kirk murdered her husband, you can imagine the kinds of thoughts that enter into the minds of people when it comes to Erica Kirk, and especially the minds of people who are twisted or what have you. And so when you call Erica Kirk basically a murderer of a person who probably was in line to be president someday and who was a very influential person, then you are putting a target on her back. Erica Kirk finally did speak out. I'm going to have that for you on the other side of this because I'm out of time, but I will get to it. We'll talk data centers with Elizabeth Kayser, and also, ladies and gentlemen, a Michigan town has decided to ban the Neighborhood Watch program. You can imagine what their reasoning is, right? This is Common Sense Radio. It's the 3 Martini Lunch. Happy Thursday.
Looking for an underwater adventure or a scaly new friend? Dive into Tropical World Pets on Watson Road. For 32 years, this family-owned wonderland has been St. Louis's go-to destination for all things aquatic and reptilian. With over 7,000 square feet of aquariums, we're home to the area's largest selection of freshwater fish, including rare cichlids you won't find anywhere else. But that's not all. We've got tarantulas, snakes, and lizards galore. Tropical World Pets, 314-849-4020, or visit twpstl.com.
Hey, Columbo here for Rockwood Charcoal. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory, so you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
Concerned about the condition of your windows driving up your energy bills? I was too. It's only called STL Windows and Doors. Call today for your free in-home estimate and start saving tomorrow. 314-277-5952 or stlwindowsanddoors.com.
What if Missouri eliminated its income tax entirely?
Find out how at the Road to Zero Income Tax Town Hall.
Hosted by News Talk STL's own Mike Ferguson.
Joined by Senator Nick Schroer and Representative Ben Keithley.
Come ready with your questions and get the facts on the plan to phase out Missouri's income tax for good.
Thursday, April 30th at the Lodge de Pere, presented by AFP Missouri and Mo Tax Relief Now.
RSVP today at afpmissouri.com. That's afpmissouri.com.
Dude, this house is perfect. Crumbs everywhere, sticky counters. I've already texted the colonies.
Sweet, I'll bring my 500 cousins. This'll be the biggest ant rager of the summer.
Let's party! Wait, oh, what's that sound? Oh, no, it's those trucks with the green wheels. Party's over, man. Party's over.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. We'd love to help you out. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888 to learn more about our special $67 offer.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news at Town Hall. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. A statement made by Iran's supreme leader has a big impact on that country's economy.
Iran's supreme leader has said in a statement that the Islamic Republic will protect its nuclear and missile capabilities as a national asset. The proposal by Ayatollah Mojtaba Khamenei was made on Thursday and would delay nuclear program negotiations. Khamenei is likely drawing a hard line as President Trump seeks a wider deal. Khamenei insisted that Americans belong at what he called the bottom of the Persian Gulf. His remarks come as Iran's oil industry faces a U.S. Navy blockade. Meanwhile, Brent crude prices have surged. I'm Karen Shamas.
And despite the surge in Brent crude prices, the stocks are doing well on Wall Street today. The Dow right now is up by 749 points, the NASDAQ up by 189, and the S&P 500 up by about 54 points at this hour. Iran's national real currency dropped to a record low this week, while the U.S. naval blockade has increased pressure on its already battered economy. Russia's proposed short-term ceasefire with Ukraine has President Zelensky concerned.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says he wants more details about the May 9th ceasefire Russian President Vladimir Putin proposed to President Donald Trump over the phone on Wednesday. The break in attacks would coincide with Russia's Victory Day. Zelensky says he wants to know whether the short-term ceasefire would be a few hours of security for a parade in Moscow or something more. And Ukraine is proposing a longer-term ceasefire. Meanwhile, Russia launched overnight attacks in a central Ukrainian city as well as in the southern port city of Odessa. And Ukraine continued striking industrial facilities inside Russia for a second day in a row. I'm Donna Warder.
More at townhall.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now.
800-583-0141.
Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 five-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-583-0141. That's 800-583-0141. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're tracking highs towards the mid-60s, an increase in cloud cover heading towards the afternoon hours. Eventually, those clouds turn into some scattered chances of some evening showers and some thunderstorms. That'll continue to clear up before Friday morning's commute. 62 degrees for the high into Friday, mostly sunny skies. Into Saturday, partly sunny. Could see some early morning patchy frost north of the St. Louis metro. Then we'll start to rise Sunday on with increasing chances of showers and storms beginning during the overnight hours. For the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shane Scott.
When you count on Connor, you're getting the timeless American values that have guided our company from day one. Hard work, impeccable service, and honesty. At Connor Roofing, you aren't just getting a roof, you're getting safeguarded by a neighbor who cares. When you count on Connor, you're receiving protection for your home, your family, and your peace of mind.
Visit ConnorRoofing.com.
Hi, this is Mark Harder with RE/MAX Results, the region's largest RE/MAX real estate brokerage. It is cold outside, but the real estate market is hot. This is a great time to buy or sell a home. Interest rates are also declining, which gives you more buying power. Someday is not a day on the calendar, but today is. Call me at 314-852-8933 for a free custom home buying plan. 314-852-8933.
Democracy is loud, and on Tuesday, June 2nd, you can be right in the middle of it. News Talk STL is bringing the St. Charles County Executive Primary Debate to Lindenwood University in St. Charles at the J. Scheidegger Center for the Arts. No reservations, no tickets, just show up. Can't make it in person? Catch every word live on News Talk STL from 7 to 8:30 p.m. The St. Charles County Executive Primary Debate on June 2nd. Brought to you by the St. Charles County Republican Central Committee, Mid-Rivers News Magazine, Lewis & Clark's Pachyderms Club, and the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University.
News Talk STL.
First thing in the morning and pretty much all day.
Live and local. 101.9 and 94.1. News Talk STL.
Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Thursday to all of you and yours. This is Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here and Ashland over there, so check it out, people. Look at how our listenership is coming together in the name of expanding commerce. Rob Very, who is a very, very good remodeler out there. Kitchens and baths and things like that. But he also does really other great remodeling work if need be. And my buddy Rick Pogue, who aside from having the hideout is also a poobah at Stone Ledge Distillery right there in Defiance. Great place, by the way. Really fantastic drinks. Beautiful place. So Rick decided to come on the Facebook page and say, Rob Berry, I need some work done at Stone Ledge Distillery in Defiance. Hope you're doing well. So, making connections here at the Allman Report. Hope you guys... Rick, I could also give you, well, I think maybe Rob's still listening, and he could probably give him the number. If not, I will give you the number when we have a little bit of a break here. That'll be good. So, ladies and gentlemen, Hakeem Jeffries. I can't really. It's hard to imitate him. He's so obnoxious, and his voice sounds like one of the characters in Fat Albert. I don't know why, but it kind of does. But I can't really imitate him. It's hard. He's hard to imitate. Because he's got this. I can't do it. I mean, I'm not even going to try. But it's like New York, kind of accent. But Ron DeSantis apparently can. So he's, and of course they call Hakeem Jeffries Timu Obama. And it must drive these people crazy when they are mocked like this. And especially when President Trump back in the White House back in the day, they were putting these sombreros on people in the memes and stuff. And Hakeem Jeffries he gets really riled up when people mock him and everything else. And so obviously Hakeem Jeffries has been really angry because the Florida House just passed DeSantis's own drawn 2026 congressional map, 83-28. So that was pretty demonstrable. Republicans now stand to gain up to 4 new seats in Florida. And Democrats are furious. Hakeem Jeffries is wandering around talking about, hey, this is how liberty dies and all that kind of stuff. And they get all upset about it, And you saw the woman with the pink megaphone and everything else.
The clerk will unlock the machine and the members will proceed to vote.
And so, where do you get a pink megaphone, by the way? And so Hakeem Jeffries decided that he was going to also get involved in this. And he was trying to kind of intimidate Ron DeSantis and, wag his finger at him and everything else. Ron DeSantis would have none of it.
We're going to do maximum warfare against Republicans. Florida Republicans, you F around, you're going to find out all this stuff.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. That's a pretty good imitation of Hakeem Jeffries. And, of course, what's going to happen is that Hakeem Jeffries and all these people is going to say that somehow is racist or whatever. And it's like, sorry, guys, it's not. It's how you sound. It's imitation. It's just like Jimmy Kimmel. It's comedy, right? It's comedy, isn't it? It's just comedy. It was just a joke. It's just comedy. What's the matter? Do people don't like comedy?
We're going to do maximum warfare against Republicans. Florida Republicans, you F around, you're going to find out all this stuff.
I mean, that's pretty good. I mean, and normally it's interesting because you guys know when Ron DeSantis was running for president that sometimes he seemed a little stiff, and they had those little memes of him smiling because he was trying to smile, and he kind of is a little bit uncomfortable when he smiles. I really like him, so I'm not really trying to be rude or anything. But Ron DeSantis has never known to be like the loosest guy on the planet. But this is pretty loose.
We're going to do maximum warfare against Republicans. Florida Republicans, you F around, you're going to find out all this stuff. And, what I said was, listen, and he's like, oh, if you do the redistricting, we're going to take out all your members. We're going to do all this stuff. And what I said was, go ahead, make my day. You don't think we're going to... You want to come down here and spend money in Florida? Roll the dice and take your chances, but don't think that you can come down here, issue threats to us, and somehow you're going to make us flinch. That is not happening, and in fact, it did not happen. Because as soon as he came out and started doing that last week, Florida legislature turned around and they passed a new map.
Yeah, so much for big, bad Hakeem Jeffries. So anyway, I wanted to get to that because it just came across the transom. I explained to you before the break about Erica Kirk. So this is basically presenting a watershed moment, I think, for Erica Kirk. I believe, as I pointed out, that the events of Saturday really had an impact on her. She was at the event and was terrified and crying and everything else. And you can imagine what that must have been like for her, and considering what has happened to her husband. And for a while there, she even tried to meet with Candace Owens, which of course was a mistake because Candace Owens is Candace Owens. She is the embodiment of the story of the frog and the scorpion, and you all know that one is where the scorpion's begging the frog to give him a ride across the river or the little creek, and the frog's like, "Well, no, you're going to sting me." It's like the scorpion says, "No, I'm not. I just need a ride across this creek." And so the frog's like, "All right, get on my back." And halfway across the creek, of course, the scorpion stings the frog. And the frog is drowning, but asks, "Why did you sting me?" And the scorpion said, "Because it's in my nature. That's what I do." So, similarly, Candace Owens is like that. But still, Erica Kirk, in her godliness, said, "I'm going to go ahead and meet with her anyway, because it's the Christian thing to do in her mind and everything else." And then all Candace Owens did was go back to her podcast and squawk about her again, Erica Kirk again. And it was just really reprehensible. By the way, who listens to Candace Owens? Do any of you guys listen to Candace Owens? Like, who has any? I remember back in the day, because she's a former Democrat and a race hustler, just like Al Sharpton, and she changed her tune when she realized she could make a little money off the whole thing, and then gave speeches all around the country. And I remember a long time ago being at an event where she was, and she was so arrogant. And most of the time, the reality is she showed up, which was rare, because Candace Owens developed a reputation as a person who would take people's money, whatever, and then not show up for the speaking engagements. So she's kind of trashy anyway, but it's like, who listens to her? Especially even after the Charlie Kirk thing. So anyway, after Saturday, Erica Kirk was like, I'm not going to sit here and let people like Candace Owens talk about me like this. And so she basically defended herself.
Every morning I wake up to a new headline lying about me. I have comedians dressing up in whiteface. I have people saying I'm not fit to be CEO. And I have Candace Owens claiming I murdered my husband. And the list goes on and on and on.
Yeah. That's somebody who has had enough. And I have not seen Erica Kirk, and she was, it's interesting because she, in this video, she was dressed almost militantly to a certain degree, because she was really. Get on your feet! Yeah, she was really, she's wearing this kind of hat, this kind of revolutionary hat, and a dark outfit and everything else. And so she was really pretty hardcore. And it seemed like she really had enough. I feel for her because I feel like I don't think she's depressed or anything, but you can tell in her voice and everything else that she's totally had enough.
Every morning I wake up to a new headline lying about me. I have comedians dressing up in whiteface. I have people saying I'm not fit to be CEO, and I have Candace Owens claiming I murdered my husband. And the list goes on and on and on.
Yeah. So Candace Owens wound up responding. Very uncomfortable to watch. I'm sorry. That's not responding to this one. This is going back to when Erica Kirk was speaking at a Turning Point USA, and the comedian Erica Kirk was responding to is a guy named Drewski, who released a video of himself in whiteface portraying her. And now she's saying this was, oh, yes, it was. Okay, I'm sorry. I keep this is so jumbled here. She is responding to the videotape that Erica Kirk put out, and she says, very uncomfortable to watch, painful prompter read, a speech clearly written by someone else, objectively terrible, so they will now pay for people to tell us otherwise. Also, of everything I've said about Erica, she chooses to respond to something I never said. They always lie. So now we've got this whole, now we've got this whole hubbub and kerfluffle with these two people, and it's you talk about super uncomfortable, and the reality is Erica Kirk isn't lying about this, and this is coming from people who continue to support Candace Owens, and she has an investigative series into Erica Kirk titled Bride of Charlie. So, Candace Owens could claim, well, you just cherry-picked that and you're just using that. But we know what Candace Owens is doing. And Candace Owens is doing gaslighting here. That's what she's doing. And deciding she's going to take out one line that Erica Kirk said, and because it actually wasn't verbatim what Candace Owens said, she's going to pick it out and say they always lie, when Candace Owens absolutely has did an investigative series into Erica Kirk called Bride of Charlie. So, I mean, it's really bad, and President Trump has even joined the fray, and with his usual Candace Owens is low IQ. And I would say that's true. And it's interesting, and I realize a lot of people can change their politics and everything else, but if you really delve into Candace Owens' history, I think you come to the conclusion that she really is just a grifter and rudderless and nothing more than that. So that's the story. All right. Is the Neighborhood Watch program racist? Now, some people in a town in Michigan believe that it is, and so down go the signs. It's Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL.
Ladies and gentlemen, yes, I had the Grasser experience on both ends. I had the electrical end and the plumbing end last week, and really super enjoyed Plumber Jake and Electrician Sean coming to the house and just finally getting some things done. And I mean, them not finally getting it done. I'm the one who was finally pulled the trigger on getting them into the house. And so I had a ton of things for Sean to do. And as I always say, it's always good to kind of develop that list of things you need done And then when Grasser comes out, they just take care of it all in one fell swoop, as they say. And Sean did it lickety-splickety, got everything in there, including some, just some much-needed utilitarian type of stuff and some fun stuff like Lily's light-up mirror that she had her eye on and loved. And so that's in now, too. And so, yeah, they do great work, and they don't camp out. They're great at what they do. There's no job too big or too small. And that's the Grasser Home Services promise. Call Grasser.com. Call Grasser.com. On the plumbing end, they had just started doing the plumbing and everything else, and they have some great plumbers on staff, like Jake, who came out, fixed a couple of things regarding the toilet and all that, couple of toilets I was having trouble with. And so that was all really great and well done. And, of course, even today, I've got Grasser coming out to a home that I got one of my clients into, and I'm kind of overseeing a little bit of work being done there because they still haven't moved in yet. And so Grasser is coming out to repair, and this is the plumbing side. They're coming out to repair a gas pipe that is going into a water heater, a gas valve. They're repairing that. So they do some, it's not just, sinks and toilets and things like that. They'll do gas lines, all that kind of stuff, hot water heaters, things like that. So they're really good at what they do, and they're very, very prompt. They always let you know when they're coming. So I know after the show, I'm going to get a text from Grasser saying we're on our way to the house, and boom, I'll be there as well. So as you know, Josh Grasser was on the show yesterday, and this is a storied business, a family-run operation. Shane Grasser has been supporting my Common Sense radio show for 20 years now. So we're one big happy family. They're great at what they do, and they're supporting free, common sense, conservative radio.
Want to work with a winner? Follow the multiplier. 279 times growth in total market cap in the past nearly 30 years. 50 times growth in client assets. And ranked the #1 wealth management firm for employee advisor satisfaction by J.D. Power 3 years in a row. Choose a winner. Choose Stifel, where success meets success. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated. Member SIPC and NYSE. For J.D. Power 2025 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
True comfort is something you should feel every day in your home. It's the quiet of your mornings, the consistency of your indoor temperature, the way your home feels season after season. With Renewal by Andersen, from consultation through installation, everything is handled by one experienced team, built around your home, your schedule. Our exclusive Fibrex material, stronger than vinyl, built for extreme temperatures. And right now, you can save 20% off your entire project. Plus, take an additional $100 off every window and door, up to $1,000. 20% off the entire project. Flexible financing is available, but you need to call by April 30th. 877-WINDOWS. RenewalByAndersen.com. 877-WINDOWS. RenewalByAndersen.com.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Wherever I'm at, home, car, wherever.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Just the convenience on the phone.
Streaming live on the mobile app.
Love the new app.
And listen anytime.
Everywhere.
Anywhere.
The Allman Report, sponsored by Window World, 800 Get Windows.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here with you and Ashlyn over there. Do you think James Comey's ever going to see a prison cell? It's really interesting how the left is all saying that this is such a waste of time, and the DOJ just basically is being frivolous and all this kind of stuff. And I'm trying to think to myself, well, wait a minute. What about all these other frivolous cases that have been brought to all these conservatives and everything else that don't even come close to what James Comey is doing? And I realize it's going to be, I'd love to know what more they have on this, because the fact of the matter is, I have no doubt, even though I have no proof, that James Comey or his wife, who he actually blamed it on it, he blamed the attention to the shell configuration on his wife. Oh, my wife showed it to me. He always does that. And then he took a picture of it and everything else. James Comey is absolutely lying about his motivations for posting it. This idea that James Comey somehow is like, well, I just thought it was, it had to be some political message. Never even heard of that. It's like, that's so, I can't believe that James Comey wouldn't know exactly what that was insinuating. So I actually believe that, this is an indictment, and I do realize you can indict a ham sandwich. I get all that, but the fact of the matter is, this is an indictment, and there had to be at least adequate evidence presented. And I'm a little surprised he was indicted for this. So because otherwise, I'm like, wow, that's pretty surprising that a grand jury decided that constituted a threat to the president of the United States. That means they had to actually really believe that James Comey put that up on purpose with the intent of threatening the president of the United States or insinuating a threat to the president of the United States. I have no doubt that that is the case. Chris is saying that sad but true, Comey will never be held accountable. Well, we'll see. That's the one thing that this is more than just, somebody just bringing charges. This is a grand jury. And keep in mind, how many times when President Trump was somehow indicted by a grand jury, did everybody on the left say, you need to believe a grand jury. You need to believe the grand jury. This is a grand jury. You need to believe the grand jury. So, yeah, now I'm going to take their advice and believe the grand jury. All right, you guys, this is a new thing in Rhode Island, and of course, this is probably fake, as most things are that are related to nooses and burning crosses and white hoods and all that kind of stuff, right? The Bubba Wallace thing is that noose thing is ridiculous. And by the way, Bubba Wallace was back in the news again the other day because he caused a crash involving 26 different cars at Talladega. Now, in defense of Bubba Wallace, he was bumped by a driver, Chastain. He was bumped by him and then could not control the car after being bumped. And actually, with a little grace towards Bubba Wallace, the reality is there are going to be more crashes like this because the effort to make these cars lighter so they go faster and everything else is actually creating problems, because on a lighter car, you bump a lighter car and it goes crazier than if you bumped a heavier car. So there's all these efforts, to do this, and so a lot of these cars are lighter now, and it's not as easy to control these cars. I was telling the stories. I was talking to Natalie and Lily yesterday because I'm going to North Carolina tomorrow to with my siblings we're going to visit my grandma's memory garden there, and we're going to be spreading some of my mom's ashes and putting a plaque there as well at my grandma's garden there. But last time I was down there, I took the girls, and we were driving back. At the time, I had a Chevy Malibu. We were on the way back. I got a flat tire. And it's kind of getting to be dusk and everything else. And I got a flat tire. And so I opened up the trunk for the spare tire, and there isn't a spare tire in there. It's looks like a fire extinguisher, except it's like a thing with goop in it to stick into the tire. It's like Fix-A-Flat of some sort. And I, of course, screwed it up because I wound up with Fix-A-Flat all over the ground, and it was spewing all over the place, and so I messed up. We eventually did get back. The girls, me, Natalie, and Lily driving in the front cab of a tow truck as we went to meet Skip Weber, where I got the car from. And Skip Weber explained to me that because of all the mileage standard things and from the Obama administration, all that kind of thing, a lot of car companies stopped putting spare tires in their cars because it created a weight issue and it made it harder for them to meet mileage standards. So, that was one of those things, and so that's why it was there. But I didn't even know there wasn't a spare in there. But that was all the Obama stuff. With NASCAR, this is a speed issue, and so they are trying to create faster cars by making them lighter, but they're also creating more accidents because when you bump a lighter car, it's flying all over the track. So anyway, the news thing got me started on Bubba Wallace, but listen to this. Surveillance video has surfaced showing a hooded figure dressed head to toe in what looks exactly like classic Ku Klux Klan robes, casually strolling down Main Street in the middle of the night in Rhode Island. It's the section of West Warwick, shows an individual in flowing white robe and a pointed hood walking past local businesses. And, of course, you look at the video, and this is absolute crap. It's no doubt some kind of Democrat or black concocted type of thing. Nobody's running around in Klan robes and everything else. I remember when I was back at Channel 4, and I was covering over on the east side. There was a cross burning. And, of course, there's never a cross burning ever. Every single racial thing, whether it be swastika, spray painting or whatever, is absolutely fake. So anyway, I covered this cross burning thing, and it turned out that it was at an apartment complex with mostly black residents, and there was a cross burning, and supposedly the police were investigating and everything else, and it turned out that they were able to establish that it was one of the residents who burned the cross out there so they could get out of paying their rent. They could get out of their contract or whatever it was. It was so they thought, well, this is racist, so we need to be let out of our rental agreement or whatever it was. It was totally fake. But back in those days, it was just in the 90s, there was a cross burning. It was like, oh no, a cross burning. But again, you look at the video and it's somebody this is just another one of those fake things because racism wouldn't exist if the liberals and the left and some blacks didn't basically invent it. So that's the only existence, it seems, of this kind of stuff. I'm not saying there aren't people who don't like black people or whatever, or for that matter, white people or whatever. But anyway, I'm sure the Democrats are like, oh, that looks familiar, a person in a Klansman. That's one of our creations, the Democrat Party says. Anyway, racism now is over in Ann Arbor, Michigan, I will tell you that. The city took down the very last neighborhood watch sign. And listen to the explanation of this.
And they're inconsistent with their values. Ann Arbor is a welcoming community. We don't want to push people away. We want to welcome folks in.
There are people that look like me and those from my community that have been.
And this is that was the mayor. This is a black council member.
Questioned quite frankly, in their own neighborhood by others, wondering what they're doing there. This is just representative of our values and how we want people to feel in Ann Arbor.
So, once again, it's the left, and they always have seemingly unlimited time on their hands, and to kind of look at a neighborhood watch sign and figure out some way that creates an offense to people, an offense especially to black people. So, here's the story from radio station WAMU. Ann Arbor's final neighborhood watch sign came down today. It ends what may be considered to be a part of the city's troubled racial past. As vehicles passed by the corner of 7th Street and Princeton Avenue, Council members Cynthia Harrison and Jen Iyer joined Mayor Christopher Taylor to pull the blue and white sign out of the ground and lay it down next to the sidewalk. The city hasn't had an active neighborhood watch program for years. Critics say it didn't reduce crime nearly as much as it targeted people of color. And, of course, you guys know what the neighborhood watch signs look like. Neighborhood Crime Watch, and it's like it's like an eyeball, and I don't really know where this came from because like the neighborhood watch signs that I see, there's one in my neighborhood too, but it's not even intimidating. There's not a number on there or anything else. It's just Neighborhood Crime Watch. That's all it is. It's just a sign. Now, also in my neighborhood, we have surveillance video at the front entrance and the rear entrance and everything else. And there's a sign that says, this is surveillance. You are on surveillance video right now. And I'm trying to think, okay, so is surveillance video at a neighborhood entrance, is that also considered to be racial or targeting black people or whatever? Because a neighborhood crime watch sign is no different. Now taking them down, it's like, okay, well then come on in, people. The only people, and this is from somebody on X, and they're right about it. The only people that would feel excluded are criminals. They removed the signs, making it more dangerous, but they think it seems safer and more inclusive is a good trade-off for them. They're wrong. These types of people are the downfall of societies. And the other one, this is from Common Sense USA, and he's right. Perfect. Now the criminals feel truly included and welcomed. This is unbelievable. And, of course, this is a typical left-wing, kind of virtue signaling that people are doing. And it's going to make no difference at all in anything. And it's another example of these black politicians who always have to find ways that somehow their constituents are victimized or whatever, even by neighborhood watch signs, people. And by the way, the neighborhood watch signs look like they're from the 70s, right? It's like straight out of the 70s. It's kind of like give a hoot, don't pollute type of things. Oh. Or the trash signs or whatever, Crazy. All right, we're going to get an update on the data center situation in the St. Louis area. And we're going to get that from Elizabeth Kayser from the show Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kayser on Sunday nights here at 8 o'clock. This is Common Sense Radio. Happy Thursday to all of you and yours.
Free speech is alive and well in America right here.
It's about time somebody stood up for true American values.
What this country needs is some backbone.
Finally, a president who wants to make real change.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. This year, America turns 250, and News Talk STL is celebrating our nation's semi-quincentennial all year long. News Talk STL, #1 for live and local Soros-free talk, with proud supporters of our 250th birthday celebration. Gulf Shores Restaurant, Pacific Animal Hospital, and Williams Brothers Meats. 250 years strong, and we're just getting started. 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli. We're sitting here with our great friend, Chris Cooper. Hi, Chris.
What's going on, Vic? How are you?
I hear you wrote another book. This one's an e-book. Is that right?
The Business Owner's Playbook for Financial Clarity. So it is a great book for entrepreneurs, a very short guide. Give people, business owners, the ability to understand key questions that are important, such as succession planning, legacy planning, getting the IRS out of our pockets, right? Because do you like paying taxes?
I do not.
I don't think anybody likes paying taxes, right? That just makes sense. And then always talking about protection. And then the other thing from a business owner perspective, what is the biggest asset a business owner has? Probably their business itself, right? We need to make sure we understand what the value of that business is as well.
So this new book, I'm sure, is incredibly expensive, right? How much?
No, it's a free resource.
Oh, it's free.
We provide guidance, we provide education, because we want to make sure people feel educated and understanding, because sometimes you don't know what questions to ask, and we need to make sure we help arm people with information to ask the right question.
Reach out to Chris and Stacy today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
On the next,
Larry Connors, USA.
The story behind the story, the sickness, the deaths, all linked to Teflon.
Larry Connors, USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL. The Allman Report, sponsored by Buckingham Pest Control and Insulation.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here with you, Ashton over there. And a quick note about this, by the way. This was probably quite possibly one of the best concerts I've ever been to in my life. And this was the Paul Simon Rhythm of the Saints tour concert that was out at Westport in 1992. I'll never forget it. It's a great album, by the way, just in case you're checking it out. I want to say hi to my buddy Gene Bentrop and the rest of the gang. Gene tells me that we are on the back porch drinking our third kettle martini. Three guys listening to you, he says. Waiting you to show. Well, I guess you're assuming you're waiting for me to show up, huh? It's a beautiful day to be drinking martinis out on the deck, I'll tell you that. A little early, but nonetheless. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get a little bit of a quick update with our, would I call Elizabeth Kayser a data center guru? Why does everything have to be a guru, right? She's just as following up on this, Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kayser, which is always at 8 o'clock on Sundays. And I got to tell you, long time ago, golly, I don't even know how long ago it was, but Elizabeth was right on top of all of this AI stuff, and even for that matter, the data center stuff, because you were doing it on your show, and you really had almost that real niche focus on it with a lot of experts and a lot of people, and you've been talking to people in Jefferson City about AI regulation, that kind of thing, but you really have also been focused a lot recently on the data center issue. I saw that somebody on Donnybrook was actually talking about the Ferguson one, and they said the main problem with this Ferguson data center is that they're asking for tax abatements and a ton of them. And so that could trip up this idea of having the Ferguson data center. But you've been focusing a lot on not only the Armory one, but also the one in Festus as well.
I have, Jamie, yes. And hello.
Hello.
Thank you for having me on your show. I really appreciate that very much. You know, you had mentioned when I started talking about AI, gosh, a year and a half ago. I was probably one of the few, the nerdy geeks watching documentaries at night on AI and quantum physics and all that weird stuff that nobody else actually watches. And so I was kind of keeping an eye on what was happening on AI, I think, before it even hit the news. And I've always been into technology. I've always been what I used to think I was on the cutting edge of technology like 10 years ago. I've been I'm so humbled right now because everybody is on the cutting edge of technology with AI. It's like nobody's special anymore. So it's really interesting what's happened in the last 10 years. But I have really been tracking the Festus data center. And just a touch on the armory, you probably have already covered it, but I think that is a totally different bucket. There's not much resistance down there because there's no environmental impact. I mean, it's a city, and we're going to be converting, warehouse space in the armory to a data center, and I think that's probably going to go through with flying colors.
That's the one next to the foundry, right?
Yes,
okay.
It is.
It used to be a bar or something, right?
I think so. Yeah. They tried to do something down there with the armory. I know that was very short-lived, and I went down there for the opening of the armory, and my God, that was 2 years ago. And that didn't last very long. I didn't think it would actually, just because of the location. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. But, back to the Festus data center, I think really what I'm looking at is, first of all, in terms of the kind of the state of the affairs, the litigation, and you and I talked about this last Friday, there has been a lawsuit filed. There hasn't been any kind of formal response filed yet, at least a legal pleading or any kind of legal brief or anything like motion to dismiss yet, which we're kind of all expecting that. But the defendant, the developer, CRG, they have retained a pretty powerful law firm by the name of the Thurman Law Firm. And I know there has been a set of interrogatories have been sent over by the petitioner, Wake Up Jeffco, that particular group who's actually filed a lawsuit to stop the data center. So they've already sent the list of interrogatories, which is basically just a formal list of legal questions that they have to answer under oath. But everybody's waiting for the response to be filed. But what's really interesting, and I think, in my being an attorney and in my legal opinion, I'm just going to kind of say this, I really think that this entire case is going to rise and fall on whether there was sufficient legal publication for the zoning that happened back in November 2025. And it's really quite simple. There's two newspapers that you can use for public notification in compliance with the Missouri statute. And the statute, I believe, is 89.050. But you've got two newspapers. You've got the Leader and you've got the Countian. And the Countian was used this time. It's called the Countian. Very small. I think the distribution is like around maybe 300. It is, however, a legal publication, and it's considered legal, and it's been tested by the Missouri Court of Appeals. But that holding, that ruling by the Court of Appeals was only for a foreclosure. So that's a little bit different. But that has been legally challenged, and it has been found to be compliant with the statute under a foreclosure. Rezoning, that hasn't been litigated. Now, here's what's interesting. The legal publication that was used prior to the Countian, and this was back into another development years ago, I think it was by the same developer, called James Hardy. That legal publication was called the Leader. The Leader is just night and day difference compared to the Countian. The Countian, again, a few hundred. It's mainly the audience for that are legal professionals, attorneys, and public officials. But the Leader is a newspaper that reaches, I think, somewhere around 68,000 people. And that's for the general public. And that was used by the same developer a few years ago. And I think the case is really, all the legal professionals are really keeping their eye on, is this Countian going to be sufficient under the statute? And who knows? Now, the consequence is if there's a judge that says this is not legal sufficiency under the RSMO revised Missouri statutes 89.050, then they can actually, it's called void ab initio, which is just a fancy legal word meaning that they can void the entire zoning that happened in November. And if the zoning is voided, then the entire project, of course, is in jeopardy. The other, and I'm just reciting, me, I don't take sides. I'm just a legal observer, and I'm looking at both sides of the equation. And because I'm not an attorney in this case at all. The other case is that under the public notification law for the zoning that happened back in November, there is an allegation, and again, it's just an allegation in a petition. We don't know how it's all going to turn out with the discovery and when the developer files their response. But there was an allegation that there was a rolling quorum. And that's just another word for meaning that somebody, in the staff. It could be the city staff. They go out and they get their vote prior to the public hearing. And basically it's just a lot of, hey, let's go ahead and vote this way. And then you go to member 1, member 2, member 3, member 4. That's called rolling. They also call it serial
that would
discussions.
be before they had a hearing?
Yes,
okay.
yes, before the public
so
hearing.
that's where the whole thing came out.
Yeah, exactly.
That it was basically already approved behind closed doors before they had a hearing, which is a mistake in terms of your approach to try to win over public support.
True. And that could be deemed non-compliant with the statute. It could be deemed illegal. That is an allegation. Now, allegations are allegations. We don't know if that's true. We don't know how that's going to be litigated. And the other legal issue, and this is, I think, really interesting, is that what has been stated publicly is that they're going to be using water from the Mississippi River. However, in the agreement itself, the written agreement that was passed, I think March 30th of this year, the agreement that, of course, caused the ousting of the 4 council members and all of that just a week later. In the actual agreement, it actually provides a clause to where the developer can use the well water, and he can actually develop, she, whoever the developer is, CRG, can develop actually access to the well waters, which when asked what kind of environmental impact is that going to have on the residents, publicly the answer was, we're not quite sure. That's an engineering question.
But I was told that these, especially when I was talking to Bob Clark, that these water systems were self-contained.
Okay.
As opposed to just like putting a straw into the Mississippi or into a well and sucking the water out and returning it back. I thought that for the most part, that Bob Clark said a lot of these water systems were self-contained.
Like the water aquifers that don't have access to the river or don't have access to any of the residents.
Because that would be I would think that would be a real concern of residents if basically you were tapping into the well system or even for that matter the river. So I don't know what the environmental ramifications are of something like that, but on its face, and I'm not saying that that it's wrong, but on its face, people are like going, you're going to stick that in the well and take the water from the well for your data center, and it's like, where is it? And then return it back? You're going to return the water back to the well? How are you going to do this?
Right. And even if it's self-contained, and I'm just saying this theoretically because I have no idea, and this is probably going to end up being an engineering question, is even if it is self-contained, do other residents have access to that self-contained aquifer? I don't know. I mean, we're not an engineer. We don't know what the lay of the land is and the geographical construct of the particular wells.
The comparison was to like a car radiator cooling system. You just have it's like you have water in the radiator, and the radiator wanders through the engine and cools it, but never actually leaves the car. It's self-contained. Sometimes you have to fill the water back up in there, but most of the time it's a self-contained system.
Right. But I wouldn't think the analysis would end there just because of the fact that I have no idea if other residents have access to that self-contained. So let's assume that it is self-contained. These are just theoretical questions.
Yeah.
Are there 300 other residents that actually pull water from that self-contained well?
Yeah.
That's what my next question would be. But then again,
I thought it would be self-contained in the data center. But that's what I'm saying.
You're talking about in the data center itself.
The data center would have the water, but it wouldn't be, again, akin to putting a syringe or a siphon into the river or a well. It would already be there and self-contained, so I don't know.
So I can comment a little bit on that. When they say self-contained, it is to an extent, but there's no such thing as 100% self-contained, and that's because... And this is like, for example, the big data center going in by Musk and Google in Memphis. And I'm finding this out by one of the guys that's on our roundtable, Representative Colin Wellenkamp. There's still an amount of water, Jamie, that they have to replenish.
Yeah.
And they have to replenish it every few months, even if it is self-contained, because you've got particulates which contaminate the water, so you have to filter that out. You've got evaporation, and then you also have... I think it's another fancy word for distilled water. So there still has to be, even if it's self-contained, there still has to be sometimes up to 20 to 30% of it that still has to be recycled and refreshed after a few months.
Yeah.
Because of the cleaning, the particulates, because of the evaporation.
Well,
I
those
think
guys,
that's really interesting.
Those are really important questions for anybody who lives lives around one or is around one, so I'm sure they are. All right, thank you for. So we're going to check out Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kayser, 8 o'clock on Sundays. Real quick thing. This is more of a playful thing with the AI, because I'm enjoying AI on the creative end, you know, and doing kind of fun stuff with it.
Yeah, you are. You're good at
and
that.
also, it's helping me garden also because I got this plant, the tomato plant, and I snapped, accidentally pulling it out of the thing, I snapped the damn thing in half, like the stem in half.
You're not supposed to do that.
I know. And so I go to Claude and I say, hey, can you still grow? Will a tomato plant still grow if I snapped its stem off?
Can you propagate it?
And
Put it
actually,
in water.
Claude just said, yeah, take electrical tape.
No
and
way.
tape the damn thing back together again. And I did, and that thing is still alive.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
So it's regenerating itself.
Yeah, I put actually, I don't know what you call that, Gorilla Glue tape around it.
Yeah.
And it's still going.
So does that mean, like, if you cut off your finger in the kitchen, you can just put electrical tape around it and it just regenerates?
I'm thinking that maybe that's a
AI
lesson.
might know something we don't know.
But I will keep you guys posted on that because that's really cool. And apparently tomato plants are like that because
Yeah.
they're just really super
Hardy.
cool and hardy
Yeah.
and regenerative and all that kind of stuff.
I've got
So
6 starters that I got to plant tonight before I leave town.
Definitely.
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah. It's before Mother's Day, but I did it this time the earliest. Well, good luck with all that. Elizabeth Kayser, thank you so much. Always informative and appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
All right.
It's
You
been
guys
fun.
have a wonderful rest of your day. Tony Colombo and Company coming up. Ashlyn, thank you so much. Larry Connors will be filling in for me tomorrow. It's my honor to have him in the Allman Report studios. Common Sense Radio.
As you know, Vincent's is not just my favorite jeweler. Vincent's is my only jeweler. And I was in recently looking at lab-grown diamonds. These are not glass. They are actual diamonds, but they cost a fraction of a natural diamond. You can check them out at Vincent's.